in our world today. People need hope, right? People need hope. Acts of kindness by ordinary people, and the difference that can make to spark hope in people's hearts. We just have a small act of kindness. Could just be giving someone a muesli bar. But then over here, and I believe this with all my heart, over here you have a human being who not only has a need for a muesli, every human being has a need for rescue, has a need that someone, and we believe it to be God, at a deep level will be able to lift them out of whatever it is they struggle with or wrestle with, and the deep issues of life, that we all have that need. And as I've been reading God's word, he's been showing me this week that when you take even the smallest act of kindness way out here and you mix it with the deepest of human needs and you bring them two together, that a spark, and especially a spark of hope, can rise up in someone. And the first idea I want to bring to you this morning is this. Kindness was a hallmark of the early church. It was something that they were known by. And as you read that passage in the unfolding story, you can see that this kindness started amongst themselves. This kindness started with their own life together. They had a culture of kindness with each other that creates opportunity amongst ourselves to start with, for kindness to be sparked among us, for something to spill out into the community. So it is a hallmark of the early church. But secondly, and most importantly, it was a hallmark of Jesus. The way the early church lived wasn't something that started with them. They were carrying on in the heart and in the ministry of Jesus. Kindness was a hallmark of Jesus. So when Jesus came into the world, sent by God, he was an instrument or a vessel of the kindness of God. God is acting. God is bringing something into the world. Jesus expresses the kindness of God. And you know, when we read the story of Jesus, we could go after story after story after story of Jesus expressing kindness in all sorts of acts, in all sorts of ways, putting this attribute into practice. Everyone, whether they're thinking it or not, needs to be rescued by God, right? Or is everyone's life perfect? Is everyone's future secured? Is everyone's relationship with God all set up all the time? No, there's so much we need. But isn't it interesting, the progression that carries through these stories? But then there's us. Something that I love about our church is I think kindness is a hallmark of our church. It really is. We've actually had the opportunity to see people come to faith in Jesus and hear the message of Jesus because of the kindness that's being expressed. We do the act of kindness because, like Jesus, our hearts go out to people. We have the heart of Jesus in us, right? For those of us who know Jesus and follow Jesus, his heart is within us. For those of us who know Jesus and follow Jesus, if you're like me, you think, I've got nothing. Anyone else thinking that this morning? What difference can I make to someone? And who knows that just the smallest act of hope could spark something in people which could set a fire in their life. And I believe that a whole city can be set on fire for God simply by God's people being obedient to start to live a culture of kindness to each other and to others. See, that's what Jesus did. Is Jesus carried the flame of God's kindness into the world. God is kind, but God often seems distant, but Jesus carries and brings the flame of his kindness and his love into the world. And then Jesus passed that flame onto the early church, and we see that as we read it. Then Jesus has passed that flame of kindness to me, to you, and to us. That small spark has the ability, only because of who God is and this spiritual dynamic that exists, that small act of kindness has the capacity to spark something huge in someone's life. So my encouragement to you today simply is to be the spark. Be the spark. Who knows what God might do if we notice and act upon this person who's at the gate. Do you hear me this morning? There's people at our gates just waiting for someone like you.